Okay guys, we are back with another tier ranking video for my Johto solo runs. These ones are for Pokemon 11 to 20 out of the runs that I've done so far. But before we actually do that, we are going to have a little bit of a shake up. I am going to shift around what I've got here a little bit just so we can get a nicer rankings of all of these. I'm starting to do these a lot more intricately, so there's a few that are actually going to change a little bit. First off, Sunflower is going to change into that C tier. It's actually, this order in itself is completely fine because of the levels and such that we got. So in terms of A, B and C tier, these are all fine. Wooper in fact is actually going to move up to the D tier above Larvitar. And that's because we actually managed to finish the game without double team, and also because Larvitar had to finish red at level 100. Next up we actually have Yanma and Tyrogue, and they're going to stay fine where they are. So now we've cleared it up a little bit, we've done this a little bit more intricately with times and levels that we've actually finished on, and whether we've actually finished because of double team. Pretty much most things that finish the game in double team will go immediately into this E tier, because I'm not happy that I have to complete the game using double team. So yeah, E tier Pokemon more likely be double team users. But this starts us off with the next 10 of our Pokemon that we've done solo runs with in Johto. First up, of course, was Umbreon. Now Umbreon, it finished the game in 4 hours 48 minutes at level 57. This is just the Elite Four. When it beat Red, it finished the game in 6 hours and 6 minutes at level 75. Because of the new way I'm doing this actually puts Umbreon top of that C tier. It was nowhere near as good as Magby in terms of times, but yeah, it was very closely missed out on this B tier. Next up, of course, we have Smeagol. Now Smeagol, of course, is a very interesting Pokemon. You have to sketch moves, and then you have to build out your moveset because of that. Because we have to sketch moves and find the right combination of moves to get us through, it does take quite a while to get through the game, but it is possible to do without using double team. So it immediately puts Smeagol, I mean, its times and levels weren't great in the end, so it was nowhere near going to be a C tier level Pokemon. But because it didn't need double team, it actually does earn its place in the D tier. As for where in the D tier, it finished the Elite Four at 7 hours 11 minutes at level 73, and then it beat Red at 8 hours 50 minutes at level 91. So it definitely beats Larvitar in terms of levels against Red, and actually beats him by 6 minutes as well because of the time. So yeah, Smeagol is weirdly better than Larvitar in a solo run. Next up, of course, we have Pineco. Now Pineco is going to be an E tier Pokemon. It was a difficult run, 7 hours and 7 minutes to beat the Elite Four at level 80, so it was already not very good. And yes, it actually did. It got to Red at 9 hours and 7 minutes at level 100. Nowhere near as bad as Tyrogue, because we actually did get some decent moves, but it's not actually better than Yanma, which I didn't think I would actually say. Yanma was an awful run. Next up we have Togepi. Now Togepi was strangely fun, like really a fun Pokemon to use. It did finish the Elite Four in 7 hours and 1 minute at level 78, which is not a great timing really. But when it came to Red, it beat the game in 8 hours 20 minutes at level 89. So it earns its place in the D tier, but it did it slower and at a worse level than Wooper. So yeah, Wooper actually beats Togepi. Small Ant, you might be onto something there. And we're starting to fill up those C and D tiers really. I mean, I think this is going to be quite a trope of Gen 2 really, because we have a lot of slow Pokemon to work with. But yeah, we move on to Ariados. Now Ariados is a very weird one to place. It beat the game in 4 hours 31 minutes at level 72 against the Elite Four, which sounds really good, doesn't it? Not really when you consider it had to beat Red at level 100 and to use double team. It got completely walled by the Charizard. It did do it in 7 hours and 4 minutes, but yeah, it actually is going to go less than Yanma. Yanma did use double team, but it didn't have to do it at level 100, so it goes top of E tier. Ariados goes top of E tier at the moment, because it had to use double team. So yeah, annoying, but it doesn't make me confident when the Spinarak run comes along, I'll tell you that. And that brings us on to our very first Gen 2 Impossible. Wobbuffet could beat the Elite Four in 11 hours, 13 minutes, but it had to be level 100. But when it came to the post game, at 12 hours, 37 minutes, I got completely walled by blue. I never even saw red. Never even saw red. So after hundreds of attempts, I eventually gave up, and it placed Wobbuffet as our first F tier Pokemon in Gen 2. And it wasn't the one I actually thought would be the first Impossible. That's probably a while off. I haven't seen it come up on the wheel because I've pre-planned a lot of these videos. Pre-recorded the wheel spins, and I do them in order from when they got span. Next up, we actually had a better Pokemon. I had a very bad run of like some really bad Pokemon. So when it came to this next one, I was happy that we actually had a good run. Next up was Slowking. He beat the game in 4 hours 1 minute at level 60, which is great. That was fantastic. And then he beat Red in 5 hours 15 minutes at level 70. Up until this point, apart from Sneasel, he's probably been the lowest level Pokemon we've had to be. So because of the timing and the level, he earns his spot at the top of B tier. Reason why Sneasel is still in that A tier is because he managed to beat the game sub 4 hours. That is the only reason why he is there. And then that brings us on to Apom. This was the most unpredictable Pokemon that I think would have ever got to this tier. Apom, because it gets all of those elemental punches, it gets a great move coverage, it managed to beat the Elite Four in 3 hours 40 minutes, quicker than Sneasel, 6 minutes quicker than Sneasel, but level 63, so 4 levels worse than Sneasel. When it came to the post game, he beat the game in sub 5 hours at 4 hours and 53 minutes at level 85. So even though he still beat the Elite Four and Red quicker than Sneasel, those levels are just too big of a discrepancy to place him any higher than Sneasel. But I never thought in a million years that I'd be placing Apom on an A tier in these tier rankings. Absolutely insane. Little monkey and a little weasel like that are the top of all of our tiers in Johto so far. It's insane. That then brings us on to Steelix. So I'm laughing because we've just said that a weasel and a little monkey are A tier Pokemon. Steelix is actually going to be an E tier Pokemon. So he beat the game in exactly the same amount of time as Ariados, but at level 71, so 1 level better. When it came to the post game, we again got completely walled by Red's Charizard, and we had to use double team. So it actually meant that Steelix, because it did beat the game in maybe about nearly 10 minutes quicker than Ariados, it actually needed double team to win, so it gets placed below Yangma of all Pokemon. I'll tell you what, the Gen 2 tier rankings are a lot less predictable than the Gen 1 rankings are. Absolutely just unpredictable completely. But that brings us on to our last Pokemon. And this Pokemon is like completely predictable. Lugia finished the game in 3 hours 35 minutes, our quickest run so far, and he did it at level 51. When it came to Red, we beat the game at 4 hours 52 minutes, 1 minute quicker than Apom. Yeah, you heard that right, 1 minute quicker than Apom. But we also finished the game at level 67, beating Red. So, because of that, Lugia goes into that S tier, and we have our first 20 Pokemon fairly ranked. It's actually looking like quite a nice little decline here in terms of the curvature of these, but yeah, this is where we're at. This is 1 to 20 on the Johto solo runs. I'm really excited to see what comes up on runs 21 to 30. So yeah, thank you guys if you've been watching all the videos so far. It really means a lot. Please like, subscribe, smash that like and subscribe button. It's apparently what works on YouTube to get more views and bigger channels, but I don't know, apparently. And we'll see you on the next video. Hopefully in maybe a few months when we've finished the next 10 Johto runs, we'll hopefully see this tier rankings change up a little bit more. Anyway guys, take care. I appreciate you guys.